the part 2 of the IELTS speaking test. We just finished part 1, so this is part 2. Part 2 is called long term. This is long term, and you will have in part 2, you will have to speak for 1 to 2 minutes without interruption. Unlike part 1, that is a question and answer, this time around, part 2, you are going to speak alone with the examiner listening to you and enjoying your response, okay? So you will speak alone for 1 to 2 minutes without interruption, okay? On a given topic, a topic will be given to you. It's going to be on a cue card, or what you call task card, okay? The task card will contain the topic question, all right, some sub-questions. So the examiner will read it out to you, then give you what they call scratch paper and a pencil or a pen to actually prepare your response for 1 minute. 1 minute means 60 seconds. So remember, you are not writing, it's not letter writing or essay writing. You are actually going to take note of major points that will help you as you speak your answer, right? So as soon as we are done with the 1 minute, the examiner asks you to start speaking, and then you speak for 2 minutes without interruption on a given topic, answering all the sub-questions. All right, before looking at the strategies, I just felt I should show you an example or give you an illustration of how the cue card looks like. The cue card that will be presented to you in the speaking part 2. Now, you see a question like this. Describe a vocation you think is important to the society. You should say, first bullet, why it is important. Second, what it involves. Thirdly, and explain why it is important to the society. So this is how the question will usually look like. Now, there are a few things I'd like you to take into consideration as you begin to prepare your response to start speaking. The first thing is the word describe. You should find out the meaning of describe. When you are describing something, you are analyzing that item. You are looking at it from different angles, different perspective. So you are going to describe as you speak. And then secondly, take note, some students mistook vocation for vacation. So you need to be very smart and very careful. This is vocation. Vocation has to do with employment, with job, with your work. Okay, so this is vocation. Now, you should also take note of this object, the society. So it's not a vocation that is important to you as a person, a vocation that is important to the society. So you put all of those in perspective, and then you should also ensure you answer all these sub-bullets in the process of your speaking as you present your response. And you are not going to be taking them like serially. You can actually start from here, but your presentation should be in such a way that at the end of the day, you answer all the highlighted questions. So this is a typical example of how a cue card will look like. So now let's dive into the strategies for doing very well in the IELTS speaking part 2. Strategies for passing IELTS speaking part 2. The first thing you need to do is to ensure you answer the question. It sounds very simple, but if you don't answer the question, you are losing mark. I think there's about 25% of your mark comes from your ability to answer the question. So all the bullets and the topic question must be judiciously attended to. The second thing is you take note of keywords from the question, from the topic. Is the question talking about vocation like we just saw? And then you should be able to use from those keywords or that particular keyword, you can get synonyms, that is words that relate or that are relevant to that topic of discourse, and use them as you give your presentation. So take note of keywords from the question, then speak passionately. I'll have some students saying, what if I am asked a question about something that I've not experienced or something I don't know? And the answer is simple. Think about maybe what you've heard somebody said in that direction, maybe a movie you've watched, something you heard on TV, on social media. But this time around, if the question is directed to you, you have to speak passionately as if that incident actually happened to you. Focus on the question. Because you are going to be speaking for 2 minutes, you may be tempted to dive away from the question, but you must ensure at regular interval you stay focused on the question. Then never stop speaking. This is very important until the examiner stops you. The examiner will actually mention that to you. So you are not to stop speaking until the examiner obviously asks you to stop. Now, one of the issues and challenges people have in the speaking test is feeling exhausted, after speaking for maybe a minute and some seconds, or just some seconds, getting into 1 minute, you're already feeling like you've said everything. Now, when you are speaking and you are feeling exhausted, there are 2 things I can recommend that you should do. Firstly, you can peep into your notes. The note you took earlier on, peep into it. Take note of the word peep. You are not looking. You are not focusing on the note. You are just glancing or peep at it, and then look out for possible idea that you can continue speaking on, And then the second thing obviously you can do is you can take a statement you made earlier and then re-emphasize it again so that you can actually continue speaking, and then ensure you answer all the questions. I think one of the smartest things to do actually in part 2 is to think of an exciting statement, something very interesting to begin your presentation. All right? Remember, you have 2 minutes, so don't spend the whole 2 minutes talking about story. It may just something very brief that wouldn't take you between 15 to 20 seconds, and then you dive into the main subject of the day. But it is very important if you can think about something interesting. It could be a quotation, it could be a general statement, but something interesting that can actually keep your examiner on this or her seat, and it's very, very important. So these are some of the strategies you need to pay attention to if really you want to do so much well in your IELTS speaking part 2. We are proceeding to the last section of the IELTS speaking test, which is actually part 3. Ensure you watch it, and then there is what is called obviously the speaking criteria, which is actually the major thing that is used by IELTS all over the world to rate your score. Ensure you watch all of these videos and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you get new and up-to-date videos. Thank you so